Hey Rack Beer viewers, check it out. The Keezer is alive. My wife and I worked on it this weekend, finishing up the collar and mounting it. That was some fun times. I've got some pictures of that. I didn't take any video, but yeah, this is I just finished running. Oh, that's gonna be a problem. I just finished running Star Sand through, cleaner and then Star Sand through all the taps here. So what's about to happen is I'm about to pour the first pint ever from it. So I'm just gonna reposition the camera and yeah, let's see that. All right, so all of the lines are purged of cleaning solution. Got a trusty pint glass here, and if I've chosen correctly, this should be the Denali IPA, which will be the first pint ever. Oh, look at that. Glorious. Yes. I have to adjust the gas a little bit. Might want it to go just a little faster, but that is pouring nicely. Look at that. That is history. All right. Cheers, guys. Denali IPA. Tastes freshly poured. Yeah, nice. Yeah, so yeah, this has been my main weekend project. My wife and I. So my wife actually built the collar part while I was at work last week, and then we decided that we were gonna mount it this weekend, which we did. So we started with, funnily enough, the main drawback to actually doing this was that I didn't have a hole saw to cut the holes for these around. I didn't have one, so I actually had to spend a bunch of time figuring out which one to use. And so remember I told you in the video where I actually got the taps in that I had a buddy who was going to the US. The taps that I have for my kegerator are from the US. They're Perlix, front closing Perlix, and I really like them, so I wanted to get them, and there was a site in the US having them on that had them on sale, so I had him bring them back to me. And what I didn't think about was, oh, I didn't have him bring a proper hole saw, because obviously here in Denmark we only have metric. And there is not an exact match, there's very close. I ended up going with the, online everybody said that the American measurement for the shanks was 7/8 inch, and I ended up getting a 22 millimeter hole saw to cut these things. You can see some here. I'll put up pictures as I'm talking of stuff because I didn't take any video. But I used a 22 centimeter hole saw, and it was not exact. It was almost the threads on the shank actually got kind of caught, so I had to apply a little percussive hammering on them to get them to go through. But now the holes are they're pretty it's pretty snug fit. So yeah, we bored out the holes for the shanks, and then fitted the shanks through, and then we actually took the lid off of the Keezer. and fitted the collar with there's a bead of silicone underneath the collar, and then we did a bead on the outside and on the inside, and need to clean it up. Clean it up with a knife here once it's fully cured or hardened or whatever. So yeah, silicone down there, and then we went to put the lid back on, and realized that this part here, you can see some pictures. We had to do some surgery to basically cut this plastic covering and this insulation foam back. Hadn't even thought about it like complete, but yeah, it wasn't too bad to cut this insulation back, and now you can see it fits, opens and closes pretty well. So yeah, and then I fitted most of the line stuff laying around. I found out that I'm missing the connections for one keg for one tap. So actually only 3 of these are working, which is fine because I only have 3 beers right now ready to be. I do have a cider that I could put on as a 4th, but yeah, well, I can't connect to it, so it doesn't matter. So I have to order a few more parts. I thought I had everything, but hindsight is 20/20, I guess. Let me grab, yeah. So yeah, right now it's of course a total mess. I just put everything in and wanted to connect it and test everything out on the eventually I'm obviously gonna disconnect all these, and I'm gonna loop these. This is oh crap, I can't remember what the diameter of these tubes are, but you can see it's a thin piece of tubing, comes off the keg here, runs up through a limiter, through a limiter, is that what it's called? Yeah. And then it comes back out to the actual shank here. So I'm gonna like tape all these up together so that they're much neater. And you can see there's place for 4 kegs, and then I'm using the SodaStream. I'm using the old SodaStream doohickey here to push my beer. Got this little mini keg up here, so that sits up here in this in the hump over here. But definitely place for 4 kegs. And eventually I've got a splitter for the gas, and I'm gonna mount all that up, and so I can get all 4 kegs on gas. But for now it's just kind of, yeah, Frankenstein just kind of thrown together just to get some beer flowing. Oh, and of course another thing we didn't think about when we placed the taps before we put the collar on, and we didn't even think about this handle here. So this is kind of annoying. I was a little worried that maybe the taps wouldn't close, but they just barely seal before this touches the handle. Probably what I'm going to do is I'm going to tear this handle off here and put on like just like kitchen pull handles, probably on the other ends, and use those, and then take this off and clean it up a bit. And then eventually the plan is I'm gonna pull the taps back out, and we're gonna put we've got a base for the bottom, so it's gonna come up and it's gonna sit flush, so there's not this gap here. And then we're gonna do planks, probably laminate floor planks, possibly like pallet wood or something else, some kind of planking that goes up over this up to the collar, and then totally across, and then yeah, put the shanks back through, probably cover the lid up too, and then of course mount drip trays, which I don't have yet, so that's just a disaster waiting to happen. But yeah, that's the plans, is to to put some planking on the front here and make it look real nice, and then mount the drip trays. Yeah, remount the handles somewhere else other than this. So yeah, where'd my beer go? Oh no, there we go. It's over here. So yeah, that is the Keezer so far. I am extremely happy that I've got some pourable beer out here now. It's been what I've been doing is before we had the collar on, I was just using picnic taps, but on the full-size kegs, the connections would slam into the top of so I had to disconnect everything before I could put the lid back down. So that was great. Every time I wanted to pour a beer, I had to come out here, open the lid, connect everything, pour it, disconnect everything, and then close it back down. So this is, of course, amazing to just be able to pour a little pinty. Need drip trays. Anyway, nope, don't drip. Don't prove me wrong, Perlix. No, it's alright. It's alright. It's just my imagination. Yeah, so yeah, Keezer build is coming along. It's in the functional state now. I like to call it the functional stage, where I can actually pour a beer off of it, and then we're gonna move into the form factor here. But higher priority is just getting the brew house put back together and actually getting some beers in the pipeline to put in this sucker. I'm sure if you saw my last Homebrew Wednesday, the brew house is a mess from construction and just having things thrown all over the place. So I'm gonna work on cleaning that up and hopefully be brewing by next weekend. I've got a couple of ideas of what I'm gonna brew. I think I'm gonna start doing some dark stuff for starting to cool off here in Denmark. So get some darker beers, and hopefully next week I'll have the Berliner and the Goza ready for tasting. Those are getting ready. Cheers, guys! Thanks for watching, yeah, big step forward. Stay tuned. Cheers. Yeah, so I didn't do like a big how to do. I didn't make a big to-do of it, but I did make a big to-do of it. I didn't do a how-to video on this. I am not a handyman-ish. I'm not big with the handies, so there are a lot of really great videos out there. People who have made these. I used a few of them. My wife and I used a lot of resources online. I wasn't gonna try and make one as if I knew what I was even beginning to do. So this is purely for update purposes. If you have any questions, you can ask me, or I can point, if you want, I can point you to far better videos on how to do this. And yeah, cheers.